Pooh Shiesty just got caught red-handed violating his parole on a live stream, and the whole thing was captured on camera for the feds to see. I'm talking about a phone call from his parole officer that exposed everything.
Hello?
Yeah, you there?
Trey Williams, yeah, I'm at the house. You said what? Yes, I am. Yes, I am, man. Check it good. I ain't lying to you. I ain't playing no game.
You can meet the joint right now, Twin.
I don't want to play like that.
And homie tried to cover it up, but it was already too late. This type shit could send him right back to federal prison. No cap. I'm break everything down from how it happened to what it lead up to, and if the feds are preparing to send his ass back. So sit back and let me break down this whole situation, because what you're about to hear is absolutely wild, gang. So check it out. Pooh Shiesty was just chilling on a live stream with Ben Don, you know, doing his usual thing, talking to the fans, keeping it real with the people. Everything seemed normal until his phone started ringing. Now at first nobody thought nothing of it. Rappers get calls all the time during streams, right? But this wasn't just any regular call, fam. This was his parole officer calling to check up on him. Now here's where it gets crazy. The parole officer told Pooh Shiesty that she could see he was on the stream, and she was calling because it was past his curfew. She needed to verify that he was actually at home where he was supposed to be. And what did Pooh Shiesty do? Homie straight up lied to his PO, telling her, yeah, I'm at the house, multiple times.
Yeah, you there?
Trey Williams, yeah, I'm at the house.
But here's the thing that's got everybody talking. The stream was showing something completely different. The camera was clearly not at his residence. You could see they were somewhere else entirely, and when the cameraman realized what was happening, he tried to move the camera and mute the audio after Pooh Shiesty told him to. But by then, it was already too late, for real. The damage was done. Everything Pooh Shiesty said to his parole officer was caught on camera, and now there's video evidence of him lying to federal authorities about his whereabouts during a curfew check. That's the type of violation that can get you sent right back to prison, no questions asked. Let me break it down for you about how serious this situation really is. Pooh Shiesty isn't just on regular probation, he's on federal supervised release after doing 4 years in federal prison. When you're dealing with the feds, they don't mess around with violations like state authorities might. These people will violate you and send you back to finish your original sentence without thinking twice about it. The feds have been wanting Pooh Shiesty back behind bars ever since he got out early. There's been all kinds of speculation about how he managed to cut more than a year off his sentence, with some people saying he cooperated and others claiming it was through the First Step Act. But regardless of how he got out, the federal authorities are watching his every move, waiting for him to slip up. And guess what? He just gave them exactly what they were looking for. A clear, documented violation of his supervised release conditions, caught on camera for the whole world to see. This isn't some he said, she said situation where they need witnesses or have to build a case. The evidence is right there in the video. Now let me explain something that a lot of people don't understand about Pooh Shiesty's current situation. Homie is currently in a halfway house in Dallas, Texas, which means he's still technically in federal custody. He's not fully free, like people might think. The halfway house is a transitional facility where federal prisoners spend the last portion of their sentence before being completely released. These halfway houses have strict rules, and curfew is one of the most important ones. Residents have to be back at the facility by a certain time every night, and they're subject to random checks to make sure they're complying. When Pooh Shiesty's parole officer called during that stream, she was doing exactly what she's supposed to do, verifying that he was where he was supposed to be during curfew hours. But instead of being at the halfway house like he was supposed to be, Pooh Shiesty was out somewhere else, streaming with Ben Don. And when confronted about it, he chose to lie rather than admit he was violating his curfew. That's a double violation right there, being out past curfew and lying to federal authorities about it. The crazy part is that after the phone call, they did go home, but that doesn't fix the damage that was already done. The violation had already occurred, and it was already documented on video. Going home after the fact doesn't erase the evidence of the initial violation. This stream incident isn't happening in isolation, fam. Ever since Pooh Shiesty came home from federal prison, he's been moving reckless in ways that show he doesn't seem to care about going back. We're talking about someone who spent 4 years locked up in federal prison, came home early, and immediately started acting like he learned absolutely nothing from the experience. Homie has been posting videos of himself drinking and driving, speeding without a valid license, and generally moving in ways that violate the terms of his supervised release. And now we have this stream incident where he's caught lying to his parole officer about his whereabouts during a curfew check. It's like Pooh Shiesty is actively trying to get violated and sent back to prison. There's no other explanation for this level of recklessness. You don't survive 4 years in federal prison just to come home and immediately start breaking the rules that keep you free. The federal authorities have several reasons why they'd love to see Pooh Shiesty back behind bars. First, there's the ongoing controversy about how he got out early in the first place. Some people in the streets are saying he cooperated, while his lawyer claims it was through First Step Act credits. Either way, there are questions about his early release that haven't been fully answered. Second, Pooh Shiesty represents a certain type of case that the feds like to make examples of. He's a high-profile rapper who was involved in serious federal crimes, and his behavior since being released makes him look like someone who hasn't been rehabilitated. The feds can point to his case and say, "See, this is why we need to be tougher on supervised release violations." Third, every violation Pooh Shiesty commits while on supervised release makes the federal system look bad. They released him early, and now he's out here acting like the rules don't apply to him. That's embarrassing for the authorities who approved his early release, and they need to show that there are consequences for violating the terms of supervised release. What's really concerning about Pooh Shiesty's behavior is that it shows a complete crash-out mentality. This is someone who's moving like he doesn't care about the consequences of his actions, like going back to prison is no big deal to him. Maybe 4 years in federal prison broke something in him mentally. Maybe he came home feeling like he already lost the best years of his life. So what's a few more years behind bars? Or maybe he's trying to prove something to the streets, showing that he's not scared of going back to prison. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Pooh Shiesty is moving like someone who's ready to throw away his freedom, ready to go right back to federal custody. And this stream incident might be the violation that finally sends him back. From a legal standpoint, what happened on that stream is extremely damaging to Pooh Shiesty's case. Federal prosecutors now have video evidence of him violating his curfew and lying to his parole officer about it. That's 2 separate violations right there, and either one could be enough to revoke his supervised release. When someone on federal supervised release gets violated, they don't get a slap on the wrist. They get sent back to prison to finish their original sentence. In Pooh Shiesty's case, that could mean going back to federal prison until his original release date, which was supposed to be sometime in 2026. The video evidence makes this case almost impossible to fight. Pooh Shiesty's lawyer can't argue that he was at home during curfew when there's video showing otherwise. They can't claim he didn't lie to his parole officer when his exact words are recorded. The evidence is clear and undeniable. Beyond the legal consequences, this incident is also damaging Pooh Shiesty's career prospects. What record label wants to invest in an artist who's actively violating the terms of his supervised release? What promoter wants to book someone who might be back in prison next month? Pooh Shiesty had momentum before he got locked up. He was one of the hottest young rappers in the game, signed to Gucci Mane's label, making hits. But now, his reckless behavior is making him radioactive in the industry. Nobody wants to do business with someone who's this much of a liability. The saddest part about this whole situation is that it represents a completely wasted opportunity. Pooh Shiesty got out of federal prison early, which is something that doesn't happen often. He had a chance to rebuild his life and career, to show that he had learned from his mistakes and was ready to move differently. Instead, he chose to move reckless, to act like the rules don't apply to him, to lie to federal authorities on a live stream for the whole world to see. He's throwing away a second chance that many people never get. So what's going to happen next? Well, the federal authorities now have clear evidence of Pooh Shiesty violating his supervised release. They can use this video to file a violation report and have him brought back into custody. The process usually works like this. The parole officer files a report documenting the violation. A warrant gets issued for his arrest, and he gets brought before a federal judge for a violation hearing. At that hearing, The judge will decide whether to revoke his supervised release and send him back to prison. Given the clear evidence in this case, it's hard to see how Pooh Shiesty avoids going back to federal prison. The video shows him violating curfew and lying to his parole officer. That's exactly the type of behavior that gets supervised release revoked. The bigger picture. This whole situation is bigger than just Pooh Shiesty though. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when people don't learn from their mistakes, when they think they can beat the system, when they move reckless instead of moving smart. Pooh Shiesty had everything to gain by following the rules of his supervised release and everything to lose by violating them. But he chose to move like someone who doesn't care about the consequences, and now he's probably going to pay the price. At the end of the day, Pooh Shiesty got caught on camera violating his parole, and there's really no way to spin this situation in his favor. The evidence is clear, the violation is documented, and the consequences are probably going to be severe. This is what happens when you don't respect the system that's giving you a second chance. Pooh Shiesty came home from federal prison and chose to move like he learned nothing from 4 years behind bars. Now he's probably gonna find himself right back where he started, finishing out his original sentence in federal custody. What do y'all think about this situation? Drop your comments below and let me know if you think Pooh Shiesty is gonna get violated and sent back to prison. Because from where I'm sitting, it's looking like homie just crashed out on a live stream and the feds got all the evidence they need to put him right back behind bars.